Hello, my friends, and welcome to another session with the older man. So today we're going to address the lady from Germany who has made quite a splash. Yes, this is the trending topic. I've gotten around 8 videos telling me, older man, you should comment on this, you should comment on this. And here's the thing, guys. I'm married to a non-black woman. I've married to a woman outside my race. I am going on 20 years right now. That's a long time with the same person. I have dated women of my race, and I've also been all around the world, all over Europe. I've been to Asian countries. I've been to places where the black man is looked at as freaking exotic. Just so you know. You go to Canada, North Vancouver, and you have a Caymanian accent. Oh, man. The women just, oh God, they quiver in their boots, man. I'm telling you, they're just all over you. Yeah, and you don't have to look good, just an average dude. So what I want to discuss today is just how you can up your game as a man, just moving location. Remember, it's all about location, location, location. A bottle of water in the desert is worth a lot more than a bottle of water in the city. You understand what I'm saying? You got to go where you're appreciated. So back in my day, when I went to North Vancouver, for example, there weren't a lot of black men over in that area, especially Caribbean men. So I stood out. I remember going on a bus, never been on a bus, public transport in Canada. Didn't know I had to have exact change. Stood up in a bus being the only black man there. And I presented $50 bill for bus, and the driver looked at me and said, exact change only. And I was just like, oh shit, what do I do? I was probably around 23, 24, and a nice older lady sitting close to the front, she paid for my bus fare, and I sat next to her. And we started a conversation. She asked me where I was from. When she heard my accent, she had no idea where the Cayman Islands was. And then all of a sudden, she asked behind her, do you know where the Cayman Islands is? And the person didn't know. And because it was overheard by a bunch of people and some guy way in the back, he heard. And all of a sudden, I'm a big spectacle. And that whole ride going on that bus was one of the most enjoyable experiences I've ever had. Had no idea where I had to get off. It was just me exploring. And then this perpetrated and extended out into the nightclub where I went to dance with my friends out there. I was a spectacle. Why? In a sea of white, I was that one piece of chocolate that stood out. So all I'm trying to get across is, guys, you got to go where you're worth. And the reason why this particular video cuts deep for a lot of American black women, because they do not want their men to succeed or be desired by anyone else except them. They want to control their supply of men. Because in all of the world, my friends, the only race of women who treat their men with absolute contempt are American black women. Tell me I'm wrong. So we're going to get into a few videos on showing you this display of contempt after this amazing woman made this comment. Yeah, I'm going to help her go even more viral. Guys, give me a thumbs up as we get into this message. Please subscribe if you haven't. Log into askanolderman.com. Book a session with me if you'd like to have a chat, or join our membership program. It's growing and we're getting up and running, so bear with me, guys, but we're getting there. I'm going to be showing and offering a lot more content, better, different content, private content over on my private site. And also I'm going to open up the Facebook community page so that we can all start meeting each other. Okay, so look forward to that, my friends. So first I want to show you a reaction video. Okay, because this is the original video with someone reacting to it. Okay, I want you to look at this woman's face.
I already knew I had him because there was simply no competition out there for me. But let's just look at it objectively. You had this average black American guy who now was able to choose between what he was dealing with before and somebody completely new. And let me tell you, the moment I stepped into that man's life, He really didn't know how to deal with my femininity because I was not loud. I was not screaming. I was not trying to, be louder than him. I didn't interrupt him because that's not something that I learned from home. If somebody would speak, and especially a man, you would let that man speak and then you would listen and then say whatever you have to say, right? So I was clean. I cooked. He didn't know what it was when a woman is actually in the room asking him, like, do you want something to drink? Before I got myself something to drink. Do you want something to eat? Before I started to eat my food, I would ask him, do you want to have a bite? I would come out of nowhere and just have a fruit bowl and just offer him some fruit. He didn't know none of this. So my husband, back then boyfriend, really thought this was a dream come true. He didn't know how to deal with none of this because all this me coming through, just being nurturing by nature.
These are common things that I grew up with in my household. I was teaching this to my daughters now that they're on summer break. I knew I was going to have a male visitor come over, and I had to explain to my 15 and 18-year-old daughter, if a man enters the house, well, anyone, especially if it's a man, you make sure that you come forth, introduce yourself, and you ask that man, and you ask our guest, would you like some water, coffee, or tea? And you make sure that you know where and how to make coffee and tea so that you can show and practice your femininity. Service. I want them to be able to serve. Okay? Now, if you ladies weren't taught that from a young age, please learn it now. If a guest is in the house, it's up to the daughters, the females of the house, to actually come forth. Hey, hi, how are you? Can I offer you something to drink? Would you like water, coffee, tea? And if the guest politely says water or tea, you serve it and then you leave the room. Because now big people are going to be talking. Okay? So just little things like this. Now I know a lot of you ladies are going to push back at me. Oh, you shouldn't be teaching your daughters to be slave or to be servants. No, that's called freaking politeness. Politeness. That's what a lot of you are missing. And listen, if they weren't there, that would be the first thing I would offer my guests. But that's what polite people do. So this woman has been properly trained as a female.
His peoples and his family didn't even do that for him. Like the family, there is no family unit. The average family, especially Black American family, has barely a family unit. There is no breakfast, lunch, and dinner at set times. And these are things that I introduced my husband to with my family.
My wife makes sure that all of us sit down at the table at least 2 to 3 times per week, where we all sit together and eat together. Okay, guys, we're going to eat. Dinner served. Let's go. Everybody drop their iPad, their phone, stop doing whatever the hell they're doing. Leave that all behind. And we sit and we serve each other at the table. Daddy sits at the top of the table. Mommy sits and eats right next to me. Older daughter sits at the other side of the table. And we all eat together. Yeah, manners, structure, discipline. We now start talking to each other. We communicating. All right, most of the times I got to stop the 2 teenage daughters from squabbling and killing each other. But that's part of being teenagers. Okay? But the point is, we get together. That is not something that's common in American households anymore. Most people just grab their food, go to their bedrooms, watch TV, do whatever. Yes, we do some of that, but at least 2 to 3 times per week. No, we sit and we eat together. It's good. We focus on family.
Can you imagine that impact that I had on him back then? So gentlemen, do not be afraid of traveling. There are so many more women out there who are willing to take care of you. It doesn't matter if they're young. It doesn't matter if they're older. They are willing to take care of you, willing to work with you, willing to be a part of your life. You don't have to deal with whatever you are dealing with back in your hometown, because unfortunately, a lot of American women are lost in the delusional world that they are living in, and they don't even understand that they are going to be lonely for a long time, if not for the rest of their life. They say by choice, but I don't believe them.
There's no such thing as single by choice. It is human nature to find a mate, to find a comparable mate, someone that you can get on with. Most women are too lazy. They don't want to put in any effort into a relationship. Relationships are hard. most people don't want to do the hard work. The minute there is some discomfort, they want to jump ship, thinking that it's going to be better with the next person instead of working it out, compromising. So that was the video that triggered a lot of women. Okay? I want you to watch one woman who actually agreed with her.
German woman got on the internet and said that American women are no competition. Me, personally, as a black woman who's married, I wasn't offended. I wasn't offended because what she said, generally speaking, is very true. Before you say it's not all women, obviously not. However, it's too many of us. And when it comes to us as Western American women, specifically black women, we have men actively looking to leave and seek other women. I don't see any other countries looking to come and get Western women. Instead of getting offended and upset and hyper peed off, why don't we start looking at it as a way on how we can improve ourselves to do better? We demand that our men behave better, that they work harder, that they become better men, while simultaneously getting upset at anybody who critiques us. It just gives off hypocrisy. We are asking for something that we are not willing to do ourselves. And it's understandable why men would run away from that. I also want to point out that in that video specifically, she never mentioned black women. Not once did black woman come out of her mouth. But it's really funny that it's a lot of black women that assume that's who she was talking about. Either way, you wanted to make it about black women, so here we are making it about black women. We need to do better.
Well, in fairness, she's married to a black man. So the assumption is that if there was a woman that she would be referring to, it would have been his natural companion, which would have been another black woman. So we can play semantics, or we could just call it like it is. Am I right? You know, I like to keep it real. So the beautiful thing is she had a sit down with Anton. I love this brother's channel. I'm going to put a link to this video, but I'm going to play you a small snippet from it so you can get into the head of this woman and you can see where she's coming from. Because you will see that she didn't come from a place of spite or insult. She's trying to educate you ladies. But boy, hard to teach it. Hard to tell black women anything, man. So let's learn a little bit about who she is. I'm not going to play the whole video, but I will interrupt a few times because, you know, it's his video and I want you guys to go over and watch it.
Okay. I looked at a video that you had and you said that you had actually lived in the US for a little while.
Yes, I lived in America for about 2 years. That was in the early 2000s. From 2001 till 2003 to be exact. And that's the time where I was able to observe a lot of things, you know, amongst certain people and men and women coming from a traditional household, looking into the modern Western household, sometimes dysfunctional and a little bit of crazy. So that's why I collected a lot of insight, had to process it, and then started talking about it.
So, you know, you went viral, and I want to deep dive a little bit into your thoughts. You know, and then hopefully I can get some context behind a lot of the things that you stand for and what you believe in, stuff like that. But you went viral based off of somebody clipping up or you know, putting together a small clip of a larger conversation that you were having, and the narrative that was communicated to the general public, which then got a whole bunch of people upset, is that black women are no competition. Is that true? What did you mean by it? And then how should people interpret what was then clipped up as far as what's being communicated to the general public?
Well, first off, in that video, I was sharing my experiences of a feminine woman and my daily, really very small activities and how they impacted my husband and his daily life, right? So that was basically the whole video, what that was about. And somebody just took a small snippet out of it and then just put a certain caption on top of it, and then they just spread it into the world. And I guess it just went viral from there because they took a part of the video where I said, I had him and there was no competition and there are no family units amongst Black American families. I never said Black American women. I never said that there are no competition. What I did say was, though, that there was no competition concerning other women he dated before me. I never said whether if they were white. I never mentioned that they're black or anything like that. So, but I just knew back then when I dated my then boyfriend that nobody has done those things for him that I was doing, because he was telling me about his ex-girlfriends and stuff like that, and I was just in that video sharing my experience. And yeah, it just went viral for all the wrong reasons. But as I stand here today, I will say that a traditional Turkish woman most definitely has no competition compared to the modern Western woman. And there is a lot going on in America. As I said, I lived there for 2 years. I have seen a lot of crap. And just looking inside of those households as a traditional Turkish woman, I was shocked. I was shocked at the fact how much disrespect an American man would have to take from a woman, how lazy some women are. Again, I'm not saying all women, but a lot of them, and how entitled some of them are. You know, it was just a shocker to me, and that's why I started talking about it.
You see, one thing I learned about living in this region where I'm exposed to Turkish, Persian, Iranians, Egyptians, Saudi women, Arab, a lot of Arab women. I mean, when we say the Arab content over here is huge. So you got different countries, and there are subtleties and differences between these different countries. But in general, the women are a lot more traditional over here. And part of being traditional is that there is a deep respect for the man. Now, why? But because most people don't think about this. Why? Why is that such a deep respect for the man? Women identify that the man actually protects and provide. And in regions where there is less protection, especially rural areas that don't have the police with a phone call away, the man becomes invaluable. Having a man is invaluable. Areas where they're farms, where they're out in the middle of the desert, these are areas where a man's company, having a man attached to you to protect and provide for you is vital. In developed countries, this protection and provision is outsourced to the police departments, to the fire department, to the plumber, the carpenter, all of these things. And so women take men for granted that they don't need them because they don't have an immediate need or a close proximity need for a man. So that's why the disrespect is gone. But in these regions, especially outside the cities, the man is still highly respected because they know what that man brings to you, regardless if he has $2 or $10 million. That's the reality of it. So what she's saying is that she respects that man even though he's not rich.
It was our boss. Yeah.
Because he's average, and these women seem to have a problem with the word average. I don't get it. Most of us are average. I'm an average guy.
What's the culture like where you're at? Like, whereas, let's just say, for example, our norms here, and I'm gonna just be absolutely honest. In this culture, of course, it's not everybody, but it is pretty liberal nowadays. I think that it's shifting a little bit more, and that we kind of celebrate having a child regardless of whether or not they're having a child within wedlock or outside of wedlock. They kind of championing feminism a lot more, even more than ever before, and that they kind of advocate for independent women or not being interdependent on a man. I think that divorces, men in general, but black men also, they want to get married, but they're not necessarily going into marriage because they don't think that it's a fair deal. And I think that a lot of feminism has impacted the children, which then has, allowed for them to grow up thinking that, I guess, women are the prize or so on and so forth. When you compare the cultures, from your perspective or your experiences, what's the difference between American culture with regard to relationships and culture and Turkish culture or culture where you from?
I mean, no offense, but I really had a hard time seeing a culture in America. I really
Mm.
haven't seen, because there's just so much diversity. When you got the Chinese community, they got their tradition. You got the Hispanics, they go with their tradition. But as far as everybody else, I really didn't see that. And me coming from a traditional Turkish household, of course, We come from Turkey. My parents came to Germany in the late 70s. So they came into a very westernized world. Women over here was kind of always also on that topic as far as, oh, women are independent, you know, when they work or whatever, they're going to be superior to the men. But for my parents, it was always very important to keep certain traditional values within our household, and we continue to practice them, you know. So over here is the same thing. It's very modern, it's very westernized, and the mindset of a lot of women is very similar to what you would experience in America, but it's not as severe. You know, you don't have women running around celebrating their body count. You don't have women here openly sitting down talking about their sexual preferences. You know, all that is kind of being held in the background. And as far as the Turkish community, we take pride in contributing to the household. Like, you would never see us putting a man down, especially not publicly. We wouldn't do that. If there's any type of beef going on, it would be settled and handled within the four walls of our home, you know. And of course you have families where the woman made more money than the man and have her degree and maybe he doesn't, and all that is being left at the door the moment they come inside. So the respect is always towards the man of the household. But I haven't really experienced that in America when I was there. It was
You kind of, I think, touched a nerve, but then at the same time, I think that you were able to back it up a lot more because you married. You know, and you've been married. I'm not sure exactly how long have you been married.
15 years.
Wow. So you've been married for 15 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been married 15 years and it's to a black guy, right?
Yes.
All right.
Well,
How did you guys meet?
yes, that was the time when I was in America. We met through a mutual friend. And I'm gonna be honest with you, and I always say that when I'm somebody on somebody's lives, when I saw him, I just knew exactly that's the man that I wanted. I didn't know what kind of car he drives. I didn't know what he does for work. Does he even work? I didn't care about any of that. I just saw the whole package and I was like, okay, that's my guy right there. I knew right then and there. And I was 18 at the time, so I was in my prime, right? And when I was in America, I really
Mm.
wasn't my looks, but the confirmation I got from all men just it was crazy. But all of that didn't matter. So I was not trying to be in the streets or anything like that. So I got introduced to my husband, and I just knew that I had to, you know, put all of my talents on display as far as being feminine and, you know, doing all of these things for him, even at the age of 18, because I knew that's the guy that I want to spend the rest of my life with. And I guess it worked.
So okay, so that's pretty awesome because that adds additional context.
Well, I'm glad that she actually identified the man that she wanted from a very young age. You know, when a woman is groomed to understand a man and needs and to be able to stay in her femininity, she will be able to identify the man that is right for her. But if she was always taught to be masculine and to be boisterous and don't identify things with men, she has no vision on how to attract a man or what man should be right for her. This is what a lot of the ladies don't understand. If you were groomed correctly and you stayed in your femininity, you will be able to pick the right man. Most of you are not. All you have been taught was push your sexuality. All you have ever been taught was throw the panani out there. That's all you need to do. Bend over, twerk. That's all you need, and the man will come. And that is the biggest fault most women have. Because what they've shown the man is, hey, look, I'm a hoe. I'm easy. And what does the man say? She goes in the hoe box, the sex box. The marriage box is still empty. The women think, okay, once I get him in the sex box, then I can transfer him over to the marriage box. That rarely happens. Rarely. Listen, this goes on a lot longer. She says a lot more beautiful things about her husband. And she talks a lot more about how they met and all of these things. So go over to Anton's page. I will put a link in the description of this video so you guys can easily just click there and know where to go and see this video. Okay? But I want to go on to where she responded to some of the women who got triggered by her, because this is funny.
Not me. Before I get into the first clip, I do want to address and make it clear one more time that I never attacked black women. I never attacked any woman. I never said anything against black women. I don't even understand where all this hate towards me is coming from. I do have an explanation, but that's a different story. But as far as today, Get ready, sit back, relax, because I will be cooking, roasting, stirring and frying, and eating these broads up one more time. Let's go.
This video is dedicated to that German woman who's on the internet in black women's business. First of all, you're stupid.
You're stupid.
That is so childish.
I don't give a how many valid points that German woman had or if she was right or wrong. She don't get a chance to speak on black women.
But here is the hard truth.
While some of you didn't believe me when I was talking to you about German women and their love for black men, I already knew I had him because there was simply no competition out there for me. I was not loud. I was not screaming. I was not trying to, be louder than him. I didn't interrupt him because...
What's the point of your video? Don't you got a man? You trying to be a pick-me?
Pick me.
Who you trying to be a pick-me to?
Insult after insult coming from a woman who is laying in her bed eating olives. Not even fixed right. But I understand, as the great Kevin Samuels said, the characteristics of a low-value woman are insult, guilt, shame, and the need to be right. And what did we see in these past couple of seconds? Exactly that.
I've been tagged in this video multiple times. And initially I wanted to make notes because it's a lot, right? It's a whole lot. So I thought, well, I can sum it up for you in under 5 minutes. The main point, actually the two main points, but the first main point, if you start your video by labeling your husband average, you have lost every decency and respect from my side. And I know I'm not the only person that sees it this way because...
Woman, I don't know where you came from, but I see that you have tattoos on your fingers and on your YouTube channel, you got your middle finger in the air and using that as a profile picture. I'm actually happy that I don't have your respect because that would mean that you and I are on the same level. And honey, trust me, we are not. And when I say average man, I mean, yes, an average man, he deserves respect too. Yes, an average man, he doesn't have to come with a six-pack, making six figures, having a net worth, having a network. He doesn't have to be in my life, bringing all of these things. Still, an average man will deserve and will have my respect.
That gentleman is a woman who's switched on. She respects an average man. She don't live in fairy tale land. She knows that she don't have a high value man. She knows that. She don't have a man making 300,000-400,000 a year. She have an average guy and she respects and loves him. That's where you women go wrong. You live in this delusional world that you need a high value man. It's insane the world that we live in, man. Jesus. I'm going to conclude with this one video here.
So fully aware that I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I am so effing tired of the amount of emotional labor that comes with dating black men. I am so tired of the lack of commitment, the lack of support, the lack of encouragement, the lack of money. Like, I don't know what to do from this point on, but I can tell you one thing. My interest in dating another black man is like 1% at this point. They want us to be ride or dies until they get their shit together. And then they don't want to support us in return. They don't want to commit to us. They don't want to marry us. But then they want all the benefits of being a husband without actually proposing to us. I need someone who's intentional in every single aspect. Fully aware that I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I am so effing tired.
Man, you a feminine looking woman. You beautiful. It's okay. Rest in your femininity.
Oh, I'm always in my femininity.
Well, rest in it.
I never feel like I have to be masculine.
When you talk about it on here, you be a little aggressive.
No, I'm not aggressive. Men are just not used to a woman that looks like me.
What? Being
factual. They want women that look like me to be emotional and be like, oh, but you guys, this is how I feel. And I just want to be, I don't think like that because you think like that, you're going to get ran over your whole life. If I was fat and ugly, y'all wouldn't care about what I was saying. But because of how I look, y'all be like, oh, she's so aggressive.
I'm just saying, you could do it in a feminine way.
No. Like, no, thank you.
Don't be so aggressive. It's
what's
okay.
Feminine? What's feminine? You. How do you speak in a feminine way? I don't understand.
No, I'm just saying.
You see what black men have to deal with? That and you wonder why we go everywhere else to get something different. All right, my friends, I hope I drove this message home hard enough. Go over to Anton's page. Remember, the link is in the description. Go and watch the rest of that video. It's awesome. I think that was a great interview he had with that lady. So listen, guys, subscribe if you haven't already. Give me a thumbs up on the way out, please. Go over, book a chat on askanolderman.com if you'd like to have a conversation with me. And so, until next time, remember, whenever in doubt, always ask an older man. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.